but football. He was so consumed in the details of football and specifically defense. But I think the great attribute that is missing in some of today's coaches is George Allen knew veteran defensive players didn't make mistakes, get turnovers, play great defense, and then offensively, don't beat yourself, no fumbles, no interceptions. And then one of the great things that he did, he really discovered how important special teams were. It's like 1/3 of the game. And, of course, linebackers and defensive backs are your guys that are on most of all the special teams. And he was one of the first guys to hire a special teams coach. And our special teams coach on that team was Marv Levy, who went on to have great success in Buffalo. And there must have been 7 coaches or players that went on to become head coaches on that group in that Redskin team. Sam White, Jack Pardee, Richie Pettibone, Mike McCormack, and Charlie Winter. I mean, there was about 7 or 8 guys that went on to be head coaches in the NFL, and I think that says something about Coach Allen and that professionalism of that team.
All right, now you talked a little bit about the 72 season where you beat the Packers, but the big win I would think would be this NFC Championship game at RFK. You beat the Dallas Cowboys 26-3. You want to talk a little bit about what you remember from that game and maybe that season leading up to that point?
The season was a great season, and you know, Sonny got hurt. Billy came in and just played great. Billy Kilmer's, you know, he hasn't thrown a spiral yet, but he was one of the great competitors. You know, there's an old saying in football: a bad play called well in the huddle is better than a good play called bad, and that was Billy Kilmer. Billy was a great competitor, whether it be baseball, football, or basketball. And Billy was just a winner, and he came in there and led that team, and that's one of the reasons. It was a tough year. You know, Sonny, one of the greatest passing quarterbacks of all time, and then Billy came in there and did a good job. Tough thing was, you know, I think we were even favored in that Super Bowl, but Don Shula's team was, I mean, they played a very great game themselves, defensively and offensively, that with those 3 running backs and Mercury Morris and Zonka and Kick. So my hat goes off to them. They played a great game, and of course it was the first game my folks saw me play as a player because it was at the Coliseum. So that was an exciting time, very exciting time. All right.
Well, you brought up Roman Gabriel a little bit. You want to intro the song, Nothing Gained, Nothing Lost, about Roman?
Yeah, you know, Roman, of course, I don't know why he's not in the Hall of Fame, MVP and Comeback Player of the Year, great career, a great gentleman, a great friend, and over the years we played golf, and I'll be going back to his tournament this summer, but I always respected the guy, and I wrote this song. It could be about a cowboy or whatever, but it's called Nothing Gained and Nothing Lost, and it starts off about Roman Gabriel. I think you'll like this one too.
Yeah, we had Roman on the show. Roman's a great guy. So here you go, guys. Nothing gained, nothing lost.
This song is dedicated to Roman Gabriel. Great quarterback for the LA Rams, Philadelphia Eagles. The alarm woke him up about 6 o'clock in the morning, and he splashed a little cold water in his face. He made it down to the field on the legs that have carried him through many years in the NFL. And as he began warming up, there was that young rookie quarterback trying to get his job. He said, "Gabe, why do you keep playing this crazy game?" Well, Gabe looked him in the eye and he gave him this answer. Nothing gained and nothing lost. I have no one as my boss but me. I'm happy and I'm free. I'm living high, I'm living low. And any place that I go, I'll be happy, 'cause she'll be there when I'm home. Oh yeah, when I'm home. Then down the road a bit in this two-bit honky-tonk saloon was this young country western singer trying to make a living off the songs that he'd been writing. And as the divorcee cocktail waitress came up to him and said, "Son, why don't you get your regular 9-to-5 job that'll at least pay for your bills?" Well, he looked her in the eye and he had the same answer as a football player. Nothing gained and nothing lost. I have no one as my boss but me. I'm happy and I'm free. I'm living high, I'm living low. Any place that I go, I'll be happy, 'cause she'll be there when I'm home. I don't care, so I say, hey, tomorrow is another day. I was looking for a job anyway when I come here. So you see, it doesn't make any difference what you're doing. Playing football, playing a guitar. As long as you've got that somebody there, you'll always have this song to sing. Nothing gained and nothing lost. I have no one as my boss but me. I'm happy and I'm free, 'cause I'm living high, I'm living low. And in a place that I go, I'll be happy, 'cause she'll be there when I'm home. Oh yeah, when I'm home. Got to have you when I'm home. Need your loving when I'm home.
All right, we're back with former defensive back Jeff Seversen, Washington Redskins, Houston Oilers. I think you were with the Rams for a while, the Cardinals, correct?
Correct. Yeah, Coryell with the Cardinals. Actually, Joe Sullivan had left the Redskins and went to the Cardinals, and I liked him a lot. So we had 3 good years there with Don Coryell and Joe Gibbs, who was an assistant, and Jim Hannafin. Great. Coryell's everybody thought Coryell was a real intense. He was an intense guy, but he was again a player's coach. He said, he says, I'll make mistakes coaching, and we'll make mistakes as players, but just give me 100%. And I think that's why that Cardinal team had great offenses with Jimmy Hart and of course Terry Metcalf, who was a Long Beach State player also.
All right, so we're getting towards the end of your career. You played for Coach Coryell, and with Coach Coryell, we've had multiple guys on that, just like George Allen, everybody that played for the guy loved the guy, at least everybody we've talked to.
Yeah.
You want to tell us a little bit what got you into the movies? I know your first movie was Semi-Tough. That had been around 1976, 77.
Yeah, the great receiver and coach Tom Fears was doing some advising in this movie called Semi-Tough with Burt Reynolds and Chris Christopherson. So it was off season. They said, Jeff, do you want to be in this movie? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. So, I just it was a lot of fun. But give credit to Burt Reynolds, though. I had a play where I'm supposed to tackle him, and I hit him pretty good. And he said, no, you can go ahead and hit me. And I laid the wood to him, and he said, good, that'll. So I give credit for Burt Reynolds for doing
played at
good
Florida
job.
State.
Yeah. And so then the next year, Mike, I got a call to go up to Paramount and read for this part for North Dallas 40. And, I don't know how many of your listeners have seen it, but it was still a pretty popular football movie, and it was the first movie to really expose the NFL, and of course it was based on the Dallas Cowboys, written by Peter Gent, and it showed what pro football life was from behind the scenes. And I tell people I saw all those things happen in my pro career, but not in 1 week, which is the movie's really about 1 week. And I really like Nick Nolte. Yeah, exactly. I really like Nick Nolte. He was a pretty good athlete, and the movie, of course, I think came out in 1980. Is still popular to this day. They still playing it all the time, and I had a nice part in there with Alan Autry, who went on to be Bubba in The Heat of the Night, I think and of course Nolte and Matuzak and all of us. We had a great time filming that. So
yeah, I think Mac Davis was the quarterback, wasn't he?
Mac Davis was the quarterback, and Mac. I thought Mac did a great job acting in that. At that as that part, because he's got that little drawl and stuff, and I thought he carried it off really well, and I thought it kind of opened the eyes of the public of what's going on behind the scenes, and of course Landry was such a stiff coach, and a funny story down in Texas. I ran into Walt, the great fullback from great Cowboy, and why can't I think of his last name? Walt, the fullback, Walt Garrison. Yeah, it was too easy. Anyway, Walt and I were talking, and Bill Minnick from Billy Bob's, and he says to Garrison, he says, I just talked to Coach Landry for about 20 minutes, but a real nice guy, and he says, I played for him for 9 years, never talked to him for 20 minutes, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, he was one of those guys, though, that all the guys that played for him, that got to know him after, actually loved him then, but it was a little iffy while they were playing for him.
Yeah. Well, the computer thing and, the way, but, that Cowboy era was a great era under him. And, of course, they were our rivals with Washington and also with St. Louis, too. They were big rivalries. But we had a lot of success against the Cowboys.
Yeah, then you were in a movie called The Best Times, which will pique a lot of people's interest because that was Kurt Russell and Robin Williams.
Yeah, Robin Williams was just wonderful. It was a great movie about 15 years after the fact. These guys try to rejuvenate their marriage and their lives and everything. And, of course, Robin Williams had dropped the touchdown pass in the game where Kurt Russell was the star quarterback, and my role was Johnny O, the star running back for Bakersfield. So they get the whole town together and they organize replaying this game, and that was a lot of fun to do that movie, and really enjoyed Robin Williams. You could say bottle cap, and he could do 15 minutes on a bottle cap and just have you rolling in the aisles. But unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. Great talent, very bright guy.
All right, so we will go into your third song, which is Back in the Day. Do you want to give a little intro for that?
Yeah, Mike, I was kind of touched by a Hall of Fame ceremony, and I won't mention the guy, but the dementia and everything had affected him. And so I wrote this song called Back in the Day, and it reflects, the plight of some of the older players now that are getting dementia and CTE and all of these things, that when, he was the best that ever played, but there was a time back in the day, the game stole his mind and soul away. So it's a tune that kind of makes you aware of what's going on with the NFL and the lawsuits and the concussions and the CTE. So this is
all right.
Back in the Day.
All right, guys, Back in the Day.
Tobacco juice drips from the corners of his mouth. The whiskey and the money's all played out. Now he sits in that lonely chair. He lost his mind somewhere. But there was a time back in the day, he was the best that we ever saw play. but the game stole his mind and soul.